Guys, thanks so much for joining us. All right, let's talk origin story. How did you guys meet?
Well, which origin story do you want? I was hanging around in a lab and I was bitten by a radioactive Edgar.
Yes. How did you come along?
We met.
The gamma ray blast?
You tell the story.
Yeah, you were formerly a scientist called
Richard Ranner.
Yeah, it's got to be two like of the same letter. Richard Renner. He got caught in a blast of gamma radiation and became Nick Frost.
He was pinched by a radioactive Pegg, and that's how we became friends, right?
Yeah, I was hanging up some washing and I picked up a radioactive Pegg. And I fell out of your bomb.
How did you three start working together? Was it spaced, or did you guys work before that too?
You guys are Nature for 20 years.
Yeah, we made a lot of really rubbish little films together, didn't we?
We did. We met because Nick was a waiter, I wasn't, and I met through my girlfriend was working with Nick, and it said there's a very funny man at work, and he wants to have a dabble with stand-up. I was a stand-up comedian at the time, so we hooked up over that. Not hooked up, not like it wasn't like a sex hookup, was it? And then we just started hanging out. And so when I eventually met Edgar in '96, and
on the Night Watch,
on the Night's Watch, we formed a relationship, worked together a little bit, and then when it came for Space to happen, which is our sitcom, I suggested that we use this guy I knew called Nick Frost,
Hello.
A very accomplished young actor.
Hey, America.
Who I felt could bring something special to the television program.
Yeah. Fair enough. So you guys did Space together. That was the big impact. It seems to be even bigger now than it has been in a while. Is this something you guys feel? Are you guys being asked about this?
Space.
What's that? The Royal Baby?
The Royal Baby.
I think it's because it just keeps doing the rounds. I think the latest thing is it's been on Netflix. So I think a lot of people in this country who hadn't previously seen it are just watching it. But it's the gift that keeps on giving.
I think that's the thing, is that, we've always really wanted to appeal to people in such a way that, they absolutely love it, rather than just think, that's pretty good. I'd much rather one person go, that is the best thing I've ever seen in my life, than a million people say, it's pretty good. Say, meh.
Let's talk the trilogy, as it's now known as the trilogy. What I love about the films is that there's a human story, that the genre itself is not the reason, but kind of the conduit to tell this human story.
Yeah.
When you were writing these and developing these stories, what came first? Was it the genre or the story you wanted to tell?
In the case of Shaun of the Dead, it was the genre first. But then our take on it, we thought we want to make a zombie film, but then for a while we didn't know exactly what that would be. And then the idea came about making a film within George Romero's universe where we could insert people like us, specifically Brits with no guns and no access to guns and with a hangover, and that was the idea, and that kind of then blossomed into something which then became like the idea of like, oh, maybe it's a romantic comedy which just happens to have zombies in it. In Hot Fuzz, the central idea was like contrast the British police with like American movies, but then in this one, I think actually the story and the genre went hand in hand, because the sci-fi invasion aspect of it is an amplification of a feeling. It's like when you go back home, you feel alienated, pun intended, from your hometown, and so it was a natural extension of that. So I think with this one, actually, the genre was very organic. I think some people assume that we write the first half an hour of the movie and then pick the genre out of a hat.
When you guys get together and talk, I know you've mentioned the word discipline a lot in these interviews. When you talk about the writing process, what is it like?
The safe word is wasabi.
Not disciplinary, discipline.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Not the D and BDSM, but no. Anyway.
Oh, I see. Oh, is that what it is?
No, it's.
What's your safe word?
Maybe not.
Your safe word is harder, which I think is very confusing.
My safe word is that hurts my cock.
When you guys get
the worst safe word of all time would be harder. It's like, no, that's a bad safe word. Don't do that.
That goes up there with like, no.
Well, what's happening?
Sorry.
What's happening right now?
Sorry.
When you
Sinclair.
just start over this. No, when you guys start doing when you guys do the writing process, like what is that like when you guys get in a room and like start working out these ideas together?
Well,
in the bathroom.
In the case of this one, me and Simon actually had the idea when we were doing the press tour for Hot Fuzz 6 years ago, and we had the idea pretty fully formed. Like, it was always going to be called The World's End. The World's End was always going to be the last bar, and it was about like a pub crawl, which literally all pub crawls are like exercise in self-destruction. And so it was the idea of like do a film that's sort of about Armageddon, but really it's about one man's self-destruction. And so we had this idea. It was always going to be about returning home. It was always going to be about like some kind of quiet invasion. But then we sort of sat on it because part of it was that we wanted to go off and do separate movies and come back. And also I think we needed to get older to write the script. So it's got slightly different concerns because like 6 years later, these guys are husbands and fathers. And
Edgar's 24.
I've just turned 24. And the safe word is wasabi, you know. So, like, these are things I've learned in the last 6 years.
I don't think we definitely couldn't have written this film 6 years ago. Nick and I have turned 40 now. Edgar's edging it. And, it's very much about being this age and looking back to a time when you were younger and more sort of, or seemingly more vibrant, or, for Gary King, my character in the movie, it's like he can only exist in that time because that was the last time he was kind of happy. So the film kind of deals with nostalgia, and it has an incredibly nostalgic soundtrack, which Edgar and I, we had this playlist of about 200 tracks we listened to during our writing process.
So The World's End, it was a bigger budget than Hot Fuzz, but it's relatively small for like most films, even like a Scott Pilgrim or definitely a Star Trek. Was that an intentional?
That's where I know you.
Yeah, that one. Was that an artistic choice, that a budget decision early on?
I think it's because it's a British movie. I think that's the thing, is that sort of, because it's a British movie with a British cast, if you're trying to get more money, that's when you have to cast an American in the film. So it's like, to kind of maintain its...
Because those bitches sell.
Yeah.
You have Scotty and Bilbo Baggins, though.
Yeah, but there's still a thing, is it's like, it's a British movie, so there's a limit of how much it can cost. So I think this is like the biggest we could ever get with a film like this. But that's good. I'm actually not just happy with the movie, but in terms of the visuals, it actually exceeded what I thought we could do with the money, which is great. So I was very, very pleased how it looks.
And on a similar note, in fact, Star Trek Into Darkness cost $5 million to make.
It's all up on the screen.
It's on the screen. The above the line is very low.
Last few questions, then we're on borrowed time here.
Are you dying?
We all are.
What happened?
Do you know this is a cancer thing?
Come on!
I just hope you live long enough to see the end of Breaking Bad. After that,
he might not.
You can go.
That's too soon. You guys it's obviously gone very well in UK international already. You guys are about to open the US. Does success in the US matter to you guys? Is that something you're
Absolutely.
worried about?
And not worried about it. Just like we're very proud of the movie. It's a British movie, so the fact that it gets a wide release in the US is like amazing for us, because it's like when we do Q&As around the country and do screenings, the novelty never ever wears off of us seeing our home country on a foreign screen. So that's amazing, and so it's like sort of we just feel very fortunate that we get to make these movies, and that people over here in North America see them. It's great.
This is like, so what do you call this? For you, it's Cornetto Trilogy, Blood and Ice Cream. What do you guys call this trilogy?
We call it the Three Flavors Cornetto Trilogy. It's very much an unofficial title. It started as a joke and it stuck.
But you guys have embraced it at this point as a trilogy.
It's kind of, in a way, it's the simplest way.
They know.
It's the simplest. It's the most sort of obvious way to bind the three together. There are lots of things which connect them, I think. There are, it's not just the fence gag or the people in it. There are lots of themes and things which are quite complex, which knit it together nicely. But the obvious overriding thing became this ice cream snack, which we put into Shaun of the Dead as a joke. What's hilarious is that when we used to sneak in and watch bits of Shaun of the Dead in front of the US crowd, the cornetto line from Shaun of the Dead would never get anything. It would be silence, like wind rushing through a tunnel.
Yeah, nobody
knew
about it until this.
And then it kind of, people started to get it a little bit more with Hot Fuzz. And now in this film, if and when the appearance of that particular confectionery appears, there's this big woof, and it's like, hey, we taught America something about ice cream, or our ice creams.
So what we're saying essentially is that Cornetto is better than King Cone. I'm sorry you had to hear it from us.
That's fine, but Ben & Jerry's, I'm going to have to argue with on that one.
Oh, no, but Ben & Jerry's is different because it's in a tub.
That's right, it's a tub.
Oh, I think you can get it in a waffle cone.
What, a Ben & Jerry's? Yeah.
Yeah, you can put a scoop, 2, 3, 4 scoops.
Our Ben & Jerry's flavour would be called
it's a do-it-yourself.
What would it be called? Metamorsels.
That's good. Metamorsels.
The thing about the trilogy, there's 3 in it. It's this act of your life is over. What's next?
I'm gonna, that bit at the end of the Shawshank Redemption when Tim Robbins is mending that boat.
I mean, that's after he does the walk through the pile of shit. And all
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Walk 300 miles for a pile of shit.
That's what I want.
Is that from March of the Penguins?
Yeah.
And then when Nick finishes his press for Cuban Fury, then he'll walk along the beach in his bare feet and see me on top, and the camera will just move away.
So what's next for you guys after that? When are you guys getting back together for a project?
I don't know. We've started talking about little bits and bobs. Of course, we'll do something again. We won't have to abide by the little set of rules we wrote for ourselves with these films, and we're freed up a little bit.
No, but he's come and write one.
Yeah, maybe Nick could write it. The three of us could write it together. That would be fun.
Be nice, wouldn't it?
If he does it, my cancer's cured.
There you go.
After the good work
A lot
I did
of pressure.
Emotional
A lot of
blackmail.
pressure.
after the work I did on Paul, that you might find me.
On that lovely note, Edgar, Simon, Nick, thank you guys so much for
Oh,
doing
thank
this.
you.
Thank you for
Thanks
this
very
wonderfully
much.
chaotic interview.
Thank you. He shakes hands. He's
Wasabi.
nice. Oh, thank you.
We're still going. We're still interviewing.
Let's just walk into the shop.
What are you doing?